Well, it seems like many kids today have less freedom than we might have had growing up. With so much supervision and scheduling, they can miss out on building their own confidence and skills. But there's a simple and powerful shift taking place of parents and caretakers who have a different approach. Our guest is here to explain how giving kids more autonomy can lead to happier, more capable young people and less stress for the adults in their lives. Lenore Skenazy is the president of the organization Let Grow. Lenore, it is so good to have you
Hey,
here with us today.
I liked that intro. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tracy, and California.
So, Lenore, let's get into this. So, how is childhood today
Mhm.
different, maybe, than from past generations, especially when it comes to kids having the freedom to make their own choices?
Well, it's really the freedom to be sort of out and about, and that has been severely curtailed, certainly since my childhood, probably since yours and many of your viewers. We did a study this summer with the Harris Poll, and they found that more than 50% of kids had never even been down another aisle of the
Mm,
grocery store from their
mm,
parents. And the majority of
mm,
kids had never walked around their neighborhoods without an adult and didn't think that they were allowed in public. By public, we meant a mall or the park or the
mhm.
street without an adult. So it's really become an almost constantly supervised childhood. The kids that we surveyed were 8 to 12.
That's interesting. So, when you've
Yeah.
asked kids what they wish they could do on their own, what surprising things have they said?
Oh, that was the best thing about this survey. We asked kids if you could have time with your friends one of three different ways: either with your buddies just outside, either on your bikes or on the lawn, no parents, no agenda,
Mhm.
or you could be in an organized activity like chess or soccer or ballet, or you could be online. Playing a video game or texting your friends or any kind of social media. Uh, the number one choice was kids wanted, I think what you're seeing on the screen right now, they wanted time just with their friends, not for a trophy, not for an adult. They just wanted to be on their own. Second choice was the organized activities. And then third choice was online. And we think that our kids are addicted
Mm,
to their phones or they only want to be
mhm.
playing games, they only want to be on social media, but really they want time in the real world with their real life friends. And if we gave that back to them, I think they'd be off their phones a lot more.
That's really fascinating, Lenore. So let me ask you, what's behind the trend of adults feeling like they need to manage so many parts of a child's day?
Well, I think we got to look back for a couple generations to maybe the 80s when we started hearing all about stranger danger, and it was almost ridiculous in that crime was not the stranger danger has never been the big problem in childhood, and in fact. What changed in the 80s is that we got cable television, which came along with the 24-hour news cycle. And we also got, do you remember the pictures of the kids on the milk cartons? Tracy, do you remember that? Yeah, and
Absolutely.
they said
Yes.
and it said, "Missing," or "Have you seen me?" And it never
Mhm.
explained that the vast majority of those kids were not taken by strangers. They were taken in custodial disputes between divorced parents,
Mm,
or they were runaways. And so we got the misimpression that kids walking out their door would be immediately snatched. And that
mm,
combined with it's 10 p.m., do you know where your children are? And the
mhm.
24-hour news cycle and local news, if it bleeds, it leads, action news, the worst stories possible, and then Law and Order. I really think we have to place some of the blame on Law and Order and certainly the SVU version of that, and then all the true crime, and now the internet. We've been just deluged with the worst stories, a few of them true, many of them fiction. And they are just colonizing our brain to the point where we started thinking that anytime our eyes were off our kids, they were going to be in harm's way or fall behind and not make it economically. They wouldn't get into a good school. They wouldn't get into a good program. They wouldn't get a good job. And between these two
Ah.
fears, physical danger and falling behind, we started thinking that kids must be watched and even tracked all the time. And then
Mhm.
along came the technology that allows us to do that on steroids. And we
Mm,
really started believing that we could control every aspect of our kids' lives if we only,
mhm,
stood a little closer and
mhm.
watched a little more. And that's driving us crazy because it's too much for anybody to do, and it's a fool's errand. You cannot
Yeah.
create the perfect child, no matter how much you wish you could. But it's also really driving our kids crazy. Over the decades, the kids have been becoming more anxious and depressed as their
Mhm.
independence has gone down.
So, Lenore, let me ask you briefly here at the end, what are some simple first steps for any adult to help the kids in their life become more self-reliant?
Thank you for asking. So I represent Let Grow, which is a nonprofit that's promoting childhood independence. And if you go to letgrow.org for free, we have a lot of materials. The easiest one to start with for individuals is called 4 Weeks to a Let Grow Kid, and it just sort of lays out an easy way to start stepping back. The first week, you have your kids start doing more things for themselves that you've been doing for them, whether that's tying their shoes or getting them up or packing their backpack. The next week, they start getting around the neighborhood. The next week, they start interacting with people. My favorite activity, and there's a giant list of activities. You can choose your own or you can choose one from the list. But my favorite one is to order for the kid, order French fries from a human, because it's what could be more fun, and they're interacting with an
Yeah.
adult, and maybe they're paying with a credit card or with some actual cash, and they start realizing like the world is for them, and parents get so proud seeing their kid, walk to the bus stop or make dinner or
Mhm.
get that French fry, and it rewires the parent from thinking about the worst case scenario to
Mhm.
realizing like, look at my kid, this is great.
Mhm. Well, Lenore is the author of Free Range Kids: How Parents and Teachers Can Let Go and Let Grow. You can find out more by heading on over to letgrow.org.